Hello, I'm John Scott.
And I'm Catherine Pryor. Welcome to Fox Files.
There's a dangerous subculture in our cities. You're about to see shocking behavior by a small but potentially deadly group of people, many of whom happen to be gay.
Of course, the majority of gays in this country don't behave like this, but this group is harmful to itself and others. Arthel Neville found out what goes on undercover in the night.
This is gay bashing, but it's gay gangbangers who are doing the bashing. These young men are flirting with death. They're in a club to have anonymous sex, sometimes through a hole in a wooden partition. Fox Files undercover cameras take you into the gay underworld. It's a world where some women, like some men, are addicted to sex.
Fake sex. Fake sex. Just do it.
Yeah.
And like some men, they often fuel their obsession with drugs and alcohol.
Are you ready, April?
Yeah.
Are you glad?
In the gay underworld, many transvestites are sexual nomads, injecting hormones in a desire to become what they aren't.
Go relax. Okay.
So-called street doctors use impure drugs and even household products like crazy glue in these bizarre procedures.
We use crazy glue for everything.
The murder of gay college student Matthew Shepard in Wyoming underscores a bitter truth. Many Americans still don't accept gays.
God hates fags. Why is that so hard for you guys to understand?
Repression, alienation, self-hatred have created a gay underworld full of confusion and bitterness.
Is society at all at fault for making some gay men feel unaccepted?
Absolutely, yes. The repressiveness and the judgmental aspect of mainstream Western society is largely responsible for this. When you repress people, they react with rage.
Georgia Prover is an anthropologist at UCLA. She has studied gang culture and human sexuality. In the streets of LA, our Fox Files cameras caught these self-proclaimed gay gangsters lashing out at anyone who they even think is disrespecting them.
Is this unusual behavior within the gay population?
No, I think what it really shows us is that among gay individuals as well as among straight individuals, there are those people who are angry, acting out. Gay men are no different than straight men. They're aggressive, they're angry, and they might seek this outlet among others.
You bitch! Get the f*** out!
They lash out at women. They even lash out at other gays.
I didn't hit you up. I know you on me.
Just because I like what I like, that's my sexuality, it doesn't mean I'm gonna back down and act like a total faggot, you know? Just watch out.
This is Angel. He's a gangbanger, and he's also gay.
They call me a faggot, so, you know, I showed them who's a faggot. All three of them got punched.
Angel's aggressiveness isn't just political and emotional. As a gangbanger, Angel will attack anyone who he thinks challenges his gang supremacy. Let me tell you something. As a gay man, Angel is even more hostile towards anyone he thinks is questioning his gayness.
So I heard one of them, you know, say, oh, they go, you know, he's a faggot. So, you know, that's when I snapped and I went after them.
But Angel is so volatile, he'll even assault other gays who stand up for themselves.
He's gay. We found out he was claiming my neighborhood, so we ended up beating his ass.
He even goes after a woman simply because she's with a man he desires. Violent gangbanging isn't the only form of extreme behavior in the gay underworld.
There are different reasons why people engage in risky sexual behavior. Some people who are young may feel that they're invulnerable, and that's true of heterosexual men and women as well as gay men.
Dr. Kenneth is a professor of medicine and chief of infectious disease at Memorial Hospital in Rhode Island. After studying AIDS for 15 years, he's concerned about basic aspects of human behavior.
We know that smoking causes cancer. We haven't eradicated cigarette smoking. We know that some individuals may numb themselves with drugs so that they do things that they might not otherwise do when they're sober.
In the gay underworld, drugs and sex go hand in hand. Last week in this club, our cameras caught methamphetamine being given away so patrons could have more sex for longer periods.
drug use has always been a problem in the gay community, just as it has always been a problem in every other corner of this society.
Duncan Osborne is senior editor of Lesbian and Gay New York, a bi-weekly newspaper.
The problem that we have is that when you have men using drugs, those same men are, according to some studies, as much as 7 times more likely to also have unsafe sex. So when you put together drugs, unsafe sex, and HIV, you've got a prescription for a far more serious problem.
Duncan says he's been criticized for reporting the high levels of drug use and unsafe sex that occurs at some of the so-called circuit parties. These fundraisers have raised millions to fight AIDS. For 16 years, the Morning Party was a major fundraising event on Fire Island, sponsored by the gay men's health crisis. Now, it's a public relations nightmare. Last month, it was permanently canceled after dozens of drug arrests, severe overdoses, and at least 1 death.
There was a contradiction there. They were hosting a party in which they knew drugs were being used, and they were trying to put on workshops and work with men who were taking drugs to help them reduce or eliminate their drug intake. So it was a mixed message. If someone accuses Fox News of bashing the gay men's health crisis over the Morning Party, just have them call me, all right?
Last June, the Center for Disease Control commissioned a study which showed that 56% of gay men 25 and younger admitted to having unprotected sex within the previous 18 months.
People who are risky tend to be people who are using substances, and also younger people tend to be sexually experimenting, and those are people who are willing to take the greatest number of risks.
I shoot right there, and now I'm shooting right.
This is Kenny. He likes to shoot meth before sex. He's happy to share his needles with his friends. Kenny also shares his AIDS virus.
They all know what I got. And they're used to.
I can't explain it as anything but stupidity and ignorance. It's absurd. It's suicidal to, take those risks.
You practice safe sex?
Oh, no.
This San Diego park in an upscale neighborhood closes at 10 p.m. Then the hustlers come out, prowling for sex with strangers, their obsessions sweeping aside their fear of AIDS.
You may not want to watch this next sequence. It takes place in a dungeon of deviant souls where the sex isn't merely unprotected, it's unimaginable.
It's called many things, including glory hole. By any name, it's a study in dangerous promiscuity. Men pay a few bucks to rent a bunk for a quickie with a stranger. Then there's the real glory hole, literally a hole in the wall where men insert themselves to have sex without knowing what's on the other side.
I just wanted to talk to you.
The news media finally got arrogant enough to ask people their personal business. Are you having unprotected sex? What makes you think that's any of your business?
The owner of this club didn't want Fox Files here.
Oh.
This is also a sex club, but here the owner says he demands safe sex.
We will throw them out. We will ridicule them, and they know that when they come in the door.
His promotional video shows condoms by the boxload and reminders everywhere to have protected sex.
We're going to have a super AIDS that will be immune to all of the drugs. I predict we will have, a slew of deaths that made the early 80s look like a picnic.
You're not seeing new strains of the virus, but we do know, unfortunately, that resistant strains have been transmitted.
And in that 1998 study by the Centers for Disease Control, 68% of the high-risk population surveyed were less likely to be tested for HIV, fearing disclosure.
Are you getting off on this?
Women in the underworld can be just as outrageous as men. These two are celebrating Gay Pride Day in Los Angeles. The women are strangers to each other. Like the men in the glory hole, they don't seem to need intimacy to have sex.
Safe sex, just do it.
Yeah.
Shit.
In the gay underworld, some women are just as sexually indiscriminate as some men, and drugs play a role.
Speed, man. Both together mixed in.
Wow.
It assists them in deadening their thoughts. We block them with drugs. We block them with not thinking about it. We block them with dark, dingy places where there isn't even enough light to see the human that you are supposed to be interacting with.
In a corner of the gay underworld are transvestites. They're neither gay nor lesbian. They seem to belong only with each other.
White trash.
Thank you, white trash. Okay, I can live with that.
White trash is in touch.
Many, like Ivy here or Halisha, are runaways from small towns where neither the community nor their own parents could accept them. Even if they live at home, there's constant friction. This boy's Muslim mother can't accept his lifestyle.
I mean, it's just hormones.
It's still wrong. That's not meant for you to take. God made you a man.
Some transvestites can't get jobs, so they turn to prostitution, hoping to earn enough for a sex change and the dream of finding fulfillment.
It's going to break down the male hormones that's in her.
Those who can't afford surgery often seek out the booming black market in illegal hormone injections. Along Miami's glitzy South Beach, this exclusive condo complex harbors one of the most successful clandestine clinics.
They decide what dose to take based on what they hear in the street.
How dangerous is this?
There is blood clotting in the legs that can break off and go into the lungs. Strokes are possible. Skin tumors, liver tumors.
Those who can't even afford to visit the so-called street doctors inject the drugs themselves.
The self-administration of hormones can be potentially life-threatening. There are certain complications that will be fatal and kill someone.
Hey, hey.
In a way, that's what happened to Halisha, who turns tricks to earn money for her hormones.
He paid me not to use the condom, or for him not to use the condom, and that was quite good money. So I said, okay, for $150, I would do it. So I did it, and instead he gave me HIV.
Halisha doesn't tell all of her customers she's HIV positive.
Some I do, some I don't. It just depends on the money.
There's a very small subset of people who may engage in ongoing risks for a variety of reasons.
Undercover in the night, a small minority continues to play Russian roulette with their lives. Risky behavior that affects us all.
Arthel, I realize that's just a small fringe group we saw in your report, but isn't there anything that can be done to try to stop that behavior?
Well, John, the education is definitely there. There are monthly forums to teach people about the dangers of having unprotected sex. Unfortunately, the people we saw in the story don't want to hear the message, and quite frankly, they act as if they don't care.
That's a shame. Arthel, thank you. And we'll be right back.
You draw other people and try to convince them that your way is right.
Recruiting, training, brainwashing. Now you're one of them.
I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy.
We're unmasking cults on campus. Then,
adult content just happens to be the product that I sell.
He's on the cutting edge of hardcore sex, and he's making millions corrupting the web. We'll meet this Gen X porn king. And
6,000 chicken fajitas with sauce.
Meet the brains and humor behind this hot new show. He's the Family Guy.